It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm host Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw. Before we get started, we want to help you save some money.
That's right, folks. Don't forget to use our promo codes to save that money. And let's start off with buckbaits.com. That's right, the brick and mortar store of Buck Baits down at Sterling Heights, Michigan at 15 and Dodge Park. Go over there. If you're on the website, buckbaits.com, use the promo code UNJ20. That will get you 20% off your order.
For those of you who are looking for Easy Cut products, make sure you go to easycutproducts.com. And when you're there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ15 off to save 15% off your order.
And let's not forget Lincoln Roan over at packermax.com. It's never too early, never too late to think about the Packer Max. Go on over to packermax.com, use the promo code UNJ25. That'll get you $25 off your order over at Packer Max Outdoors.
For those of you looking for some new firearms and firearm products, make sure you go over to the islandarmory.com. While you're there shopping, use the promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order there.
If you shot that bird of a lifetime and you want it mounted, don't forget Troublesome Creek Taxidermy. We've had them live on the show. We've talked to them. You want to get 10% off your order, go to Facebook, go to troublesome.creek.7, find their website. If you go to our website, UNJ, make sure to click on the button to download the form. You get 10% off over there using the code UNJ10.
Looking for that game call, whether it be a squirrel, whether it be goose, duck, deer, make sure you go to JPO Game Calls. Look for them at jpogamecalls.com, and while you're there shopping, use the UNJ10 promo code to save 10% off your order.
And Miller Deer Tracking, the man that seems to never sleep during deer season. Get 20% off your next deer tracking using the promo code UNJ20. Look for Miller Deer Tracking on Facebook or give him a call over at 810-240-4891.
Looking for the hottest new plastics to take on the water, whether it be hard water or soft water? Make sure you go over to southernindianabaitco.com. While there, use the UNJ promo code UNJ10 to save 10% off your order.
Deer Camp Coffee, folks. We drink it every night on the show. You want to try it? You can go to the brick and mortar store at 15 and Dodge Park at Deer Camp itself, or go to deercampcoffee.com. Also use our promo code UNJ10. You get 10% off your order. And don't forget, get a bag of the UNJ medium roast blend there as well.
All right, Danny, where's our live view camera look from tonight?
We are looking live down in Cape Town, South Africa, where it is 1:30 in the morning and it's 57 degrees currently.
And they do have electricity.
And they do have electricity today. It might go off in an hour.
Might go off in a minute.
It might go off in a minute. But
we talked about this with Dave.
We did. We talked about load shedding with Dave, and we experienced it. And literally, it is an inconvenience. I feel sorry for all the businesses, schools that they have down there.
Yeah.
You have no choice.
Okay.
The main guy at the power plant or wherever he goes
pulls the plug.
Pulls the plug.
Nice.
Literally does that, and
all right.
And away you go, right? So you just literally you have that inconvenience. So
we're back.
We're back.
2 weeks off. A restart here tonight just because of the audio issue here real quick. So I think I might have fat fingered a button here, but we're back on, so everything is well. Danny's been to another continent. He's back now, and as I said the first time you didn't hear, his arms are tired. He just flew in this week.
Right? I flew in Monday. Well, I started flapping at 10 o'clock on Sunday night. I got into Atlanta at technically 3:20, but with the time change, it was 8:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Had a couple hour layover, and then I flew back. I got into Detroit at about 3:05.
Okay, so going there, you lost time. Coming back, you gained time.
Yeah. So, we talked with Dave a few weeks ago, and he said, got our flights. I was going to be flying 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock to Atlanta. We had a 3-hour layover, and then basically 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock the next night. into Johannesburg.
Okay.
So that the flight there was 14 hours, and the flight back was 16 hours.
Oh, man. I don't know if I could be cooped up in a flying coffin.
It's not that bad.
Really?
It is not that
Would you
bad.
fly first class, stretch your legs?
No, I didn't. I did not have one of those little suites.
You didn't?
No.
Okay.
Or I didn't have business class either. So if I was doing work, I could have.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah. So
What was the worst part of the flight?
okay, we'll start with going there. Worst part of the flight, from here to Atlanta, it was packed. The flight was packed. We had to check the 2 bags we were carrying on. We were going to pick them up in Johannesburg. That was kind of an inconvenience. I was kind of worried about that.
How'd that work for you?
But it worked out really good.
Everything made it.
Everything made it. And then from Johannesburg, or from Atlanta to Johannesburg, it wasn't as packed flight. We lucked out. We were sitting in a seat of 3.
Okay.
And we purposely did that, hoping nobody would get the in-between seat.
You didn't sit next to Denise on the whole way there.
Well, we took up all 3 seats.
But I'm saying, you took a chance.
Oh, absolutely. Because you play the odds. Because now nobody sat there. We had all 3 seats, so we could kind of lay down. We could stretch out. But we talked to Dave about packing. He said pack light. So I got it down to three cases, as you can see here. And minimal at best. I had 1 carry-on with me. And literally I stuffed everything into there. And literally, it's the first time ever I've gone on a hunting trip and came back with more clean clothes than I did dirty clothes.
You took dirty clothes with you.
Well, I had to bring them back because they did our laundry every day.
Okay.
So, except for the last night, right? So, I did come back with some dirty clothes.
Okay.
And, yeah, it was pretty good. But, yeah, Denise and I got down to Metro, and we got ready. Got there a little early, made sure we checked everything in. My bow case is oversized.
Okay.
So I had to go to, I dropped my bags off at 1 checkout, and then I had to walk it down to the oversized checkout. And I made sure that, and told them it was a bow and arrow, not a gun. Mm-hmm. And you could, just for reference, you can see back here how this case looks.
Yeah, it looks like a gun case.
Yep, exactly. That plays a part when I get to Johannesburg.
Okay. Danny winds up in jail as he gets off the plane.
Not quite. But, yeah, there was our flight down to Atlanta, which is kind of cool. These are in everybody's seats.
Uh-huh.
You can watch movies. This one had Wi-Fi, so you could watch live TV, and you could enjoy yourself while you're taking this 2.5-hour flight. We were having fun, obviously taking the selfies. We finally get to Atlanta. Dave was an hour behind us. Okay. So we went to Samuel Adams Brewery.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I got to watch some planes. I think we had some chat about this, and this is when I was stalking planes, watching them come in and out.
Okay.
And finally, 9:40, we got ready to go, and we were flying to Johannesburg.
Okay. So you guys are now on the same flight?
Yes. We linked up, and we flew down there. We started our 14-hour trek down there. And the worst part of the flight, I think, was because they fed you dinner right off the bat.
Okay. Catch you all fat and happy so you could go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, you just figured it out, right? You get up every once in a while, take a little walk. Dave would take a little walk. Denise, Morgan, watch a little TV. Denise ended up taking a couple Benadryls, to get some sleep. Mm-hmm. But I think I was just too geeked, right?
Anticipating the trip.
Oh, yeah. It was just wonderful. So then you get to this, and the pilot says, we're going to be landing shortly. So you get to watch what you don't like to see usually in an airplane, but you're getting closer when it's going downhill.
Right.
Right? So it was just a wonderful flying into Johannesburg, which was about 6 o'clock, just before dark, that we were coming in. And I was getting totally geeked when this started happening because...
So you got there at night?
Yep, we got there at 6:20.
Okay.
6 o'clock. We were an hour early, actually.
Okay.
So it was good. We landed, and it was... the pilot did a great job.
Yeah, because you're back here.
Right? So you can see here, touching down on the runway as we landed. Denise took this video. and everything was all good.
So now you're in Africa.
Now I'm in Africa.
Okay.
And we totally had so much fun there. Mark Coleman says I learned a new word.
Yeah, literally.
Tom Gensel. That is funny you mentioned that. So
did you run out of gas part way across?
So
he's talking. He says 10,000 miles on one tank of fuel.
Right. So you can, that screen on the back of your seat, you can follow your trip. It'll show you where you're at. You can look up what's on the plane. Mm-hmm. Well, there's one area on that plane, and Dave pointed this out. He goes, "Here, take a look at this." So he punched it up. He goes, "Look at the range of this plane. It was 8,000 miles. Mm-hmm. We were at 8,100."
Okay.
I'm like, "Wait a minute." He goes, "Yeah, I know, right? What do we got to start rocking, right?" So
stick your arm out the window and start flapping.
You better. Thanks, Mark Coleman. Where is Denise? Stay tuned. She's going to be on a future episode because she's got some talking she needs to do, which is going to be another great story. But we got there, and then it was a 2.5-hour drive to the camp.
Okay.
So we rolled in probably about 10:30. Mm-hmm. The plan was to go to sleep, get up the next morning, shoot the rifles, and we were going to, he wanted me, because I told him, I said, I'm going to either use a bow or a gun. He says, no problem. He goes, we'll shoot the rifles at 6:20 tomorrow morning. Glad there's nobody living around.
Right.
So 6:20 the next morning, we got up, had some breakfast, and we shot the rifles. But this picture that I got up here is of where everybody can come and sit, right? So this is the lodge. So the lodge here, you can see, has a bar, a pool table. It's got plenty of mounts in there of all the animals in the area that can be taken. So, we got that all set, and then we were ready to go out hunting for my first day, which was Friday morning.
Well, I'll tell you, let's take a break right there. Then, if we're going to go out the first day, then it's a good spot to take a break. So we step outside, take a first break. We come back, we will get into Danny's first day of hunting. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show. We have got Danny safely landed in Johannesburg, South Africa, and now he is at camp and getting ready for his first day of hunting.
Actually, we were north of, in a town, well, just outside the town of Rotan.
Okay.
Is where what the closest town was, which was a little bit more than what we have here typically. It had 2 grocery stores, 2 bars, and 3 gas stations.
Okay. How far away from that town are you?
We were probably about 10 miles.
Oh, okay. I got you. Not far.
That was the closest town. You could go to the store, and we actually hunted on the other side of that town.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah. So there, we were just outside of that town. Adam Wynn, it is a very, very well-kept place. How was the weather? Similar to what we're having now. Highs were about 70, lows. The lowest it got to was 45, and it was chilly to them.
According to Danny, he said they're soft.
It was literally funny. But unfortunately, it was a little too cold to jump in the pool. But they did have a nice in-ground pool that they have there. And this was the first morning. You can see the sun coming up, a little dew on the grass there. Expected more, but it dried up pretty quickly.
Well, I bet it's pretty arid region there.
Yeah, and we had a light breakfast that morning. Cereal, peanut butter jelly, toast.
In other words, get up, get ready, let's get going.
Yeah, so I had to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every morning because that's good fuel, plus a little superstition. If you got peanut butter and jelly, go with it. So we went out, and we went to our first blind. This was a People, this is a brick and mortar blind with a thatched roof, and it is literally built 12 by 12.
Okay.
Might have been bigger.
Okay.
But I'm going to say 12 by 12.
So it's a shooting house.
So it's a shooting house. And you can see here, there's only one window to shoot out of,
Okay.
and that was the front window. All the windows around, you can see over Harm's head, they were cemented in place just to look out. You couldn't shoot that way. There was only one way to shoot.
Gotcha. And you're sitting over water holes.
Yep.
Okay.
And it didn't take long, and we had some activity right off the bat. We got in the blind just after 8, and it didn't take but a few minutes, and the impalas showed up. And as you see here, this blessed buck showed up. And it was an older male. It was a mature blessed buck.
That's one on the left?
Yeah, this one right here.
Okay.
That's a blessed buck. The rest are impalas, black impalas, the typical color impalas. And I couldn't...
I've seen them blue and gray.
I've seen them gray, white. Right?
Oh, you're talking about the animals, not the
Yes.
You knew that was coming.
I knew it. So...
Animal number 1's down.
I had to do it. I was itching so bad. I had to... Now, people are going to ask me, why didn't you use a bow? He was at about 35 yards. He was a little uphill, and I really didn't want to take the chance of wounding him. I was getting nervous. I'm not going to lie, folks. It's like, man.
It wasn't a slam dunk shot.
It was not a slam dunk. And actually, we kind of changed that after, because they did have... if you see here... where they were, he was actually at the salt block.
Okay.
But it was too far away for a bow shot, so we actually moved that in closer.
Okay.
But it didn't take long, and it was a short tracking job. So at 9 o'clock, I shot my first ever African game animal.
So you shot a blessed buck.
Yep.
And now what kind of rifle are you using?
So there is a 300 short Winchester mag.
300 short mag, okay.
Yep.
All right.
And...
bolt action, it looks like?
Yes. Semi-autos are illegal.
Okay.
So it was going to be a bolt action. Oh, and tactical style rifles are illegal.
Okay.
So it's bolt action or nothing, really.
So if you're hunting one of the big 5, you better make your shot count if it's close range.
So big 5, minimum is 375.
Right.
Right? And Dave's was a bolt action 375.
Mm-hmm.
So they're telling me about another hunter, and he only uses the 416 Rigby on everything. Okay.
So if you're shooting, like when you shoot something like the big 5 or just a big animal, you better put the second round in the chamber and be ready to rock if it's close range. If you're out in the open.
Right. Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, all right. So let's go through the questions here real quick. I answered the weather question. Question number 1, why isn't Denise in the cabin with you guys? Question number 2, is the wedding still on?
And the answer to that is because that's why she's not in the cabin.
Right? So, to answer your question, she's going to be on a future episode to talk about her experience as a non-hunter / becoming learning to become a hunter to be a successful hunter. So, we're going to save that for another show. It made my week. And any scary encounters with animals or insects? Directly, no. But we did have a problem, a couple of puff adders.
I saw the picture of the one, and it actually got a hold of the guide dog, right?
Yep, it got a hold of TC, and he was less than 6 months old. There was the camp dog, then they had the tracker dog, TC, and earlier we shot a puff adder, brought it back to camp. They had it in the fridge, and they were going to start training not to go near them.
Gotcha.
Well, a day later, there was one, went out and played, they're barking at it. Hendrick got the shotgun out there, shot it, but he noticed there was blood on TT's nose, and he's like, oh boy. So they grabbed the dog, ran it to the vet. The vet did not have no anti-venom.
Okay.
So he says, I'm going to try to do as best as I can. Well, unfortunately, the dog didn't make it past the middle of the night.
Gotcha.
It was terrible. It was a cute dog. It was terrible. But that was probably the most worst encounter. It looks like a golf course. The landscaping crew cleans that place every day, and it's a well-manicured lawn like a golf course. Hope you steered clear of big, scary spiders. We did not see the big spiders we talked about. We heard about. Dave talked about.
Right.
We saw littler ones. Swamp bug did do the trick. It was fun. Outstanding. Okay, caught up on those. So 11 o'clock that morning, 5 eland walk in.
Sounds like a joke.
I know, right?
5 eland walk into a bar.
And I kid you not,
That's a big animal.
this animal is 1,700 pounds. And when this thing walked in, it just kind of sauntered in, and there was 5 of them. And he's like, wow. And so what we did is we talked about it, and he said, if you want to shoot one, which I wasn't going to at first, I'm like, I got to do it. This thing's right here at 20 yards. And so we picked this one out because he said it's a mature bull, and it's also got this tuft of hair between the horns. He goes, that looks really good. None of the other ones were roughed up like that or dark like that.
Okay.
So this guy decided to walk in about 20 yards.
Is that just being old, or is that from fighting?
Yep, rubbing, fighting.
Gotcha.
And so I took him at 20 yards.
Okay.
Now, how do you load up a 1,700-pound animal?
A lot of people.
Well, there was 4 of us. Actually, so he started pulling out his winch. And he took the winch, and you can see this pole right here.
Oh, yeah, he's got it like a single tree.
Yep. And then
Picks it up, loads it right in the back.
the only thing we had problems with was getting the front shoulders up over the tailgate.
Okay.
And then once we did that, it was loaded and ready to go. So that was day 1. That afternoon, we went back out hunting.
So stop for just
Yep,
a
go
second.
ahead.
So you load this animal. It's not field dressed.
No.
You do that back at camp.
So the process is we had this animal. We had the other animal too. We had the blessed buck as well.
Okay.
So we loaded them all up. We go back to camp. They have a skinning barn.
Okay.
Garage. You basically back in. They've got a pulley system there, block and tackle. They take the animal, take it right off the bed of the truck, and then the first group in is the skinners. The skinners will go in. On the way there, he goes, okay, so what do you want? He goes, are you going to take the horns? Yep. You want it mounted? I want a shoulder mount. Do you want the back skins? I said, yep. So with that being said, he relays that to the skinners so they know how to cut this thing up.
Right.
And then they go to town, skinning this thing right there. From there, they'll open her up, take the guts out. Literally, they will take the heart, the lungs, all front of the diaphragm, put that in one bucket. They'll take everything from back, put that into another bucket, and everything gets used. And when I say everything, folks, we're told even the contents of the stomach get used. Okay. And then from there, it goes in. It keeps going further into the barn, and then that's where the meat cutters are.
You had mentioned, and I'm not going to give this away, but you and I were talking yesterday, and you'd mentioned about using stomach contents.
Yes.
We're going to save that for another show.
Right.
The amount of what he got out of this trip and what I've learned is this is going to be probably at least 3 shows, maybe 4.
Yeah, we're gonna do my recap of the show. We're gonna get Denise on to get her aspect, and then we're gonna take a final show and look back at everything that I learned from whether it be managing the resource. Actually, the term they use is managing the soil.
Okay.
You keep the soil good, everything else is good. Grass
Okay.
grows, blah, blah, blah. Speaking of that, because they're supposed to be in a dry period,
Okay.
but they've gotten so much rain, everything's gone green again. So they're actually really happy right now.
So they're going to have a little abundance going into winter.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
And what that did, though, is then that took out the water hole.
Okay.
'Cause
Took it out of play.
now we've got too much water in other areas. So, like here with whitetails, right? They can be walking down the
Two-track and take a drink.
Right. So literally, after that point, I'm like, okay, I'm not worried about that because I can shoot a gun. So that was day 1. I got the blessed buck and the eland. Day 2, the morning started off slow, but it wasn't for naught. We came back. Hendrik had bought a bull, buffalo, and they were going to transport it from the neighbor to his property.
Okay.
Now, this thing, few hundred, okay, probably 2,000 pounds. They tranquilized it. The vet was there. He was helping. I courteously stepped back to watch this happen. I was not going to get in there. I could have if I wanted to. But literally, this is all manual load, folks. They took the measurements. They rolled this thing on this tarp. They got it ready.
And away they went.
And they literally, you can see, it wasn't happy. Mm-hmm. It was semi-sedated, you could tell. It was breathing. But we're going to try to put this into the back of the truck. Not me, they. So there's about 16 people there. And literally, they gave everything they needed to get it into this truck. And finally, they got it up and in. And then they're gonna transport this. He did 2 bulls this day. The one earlier than this one went close to the closest property, which was the one we were on, and then this one was going to take a little further trip to another property.
So are they using these for breeder stock?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can see there the trailer, and I don't have the video. Dave on one of the releases was standing on top of this trailer looking down with his video.
Okay.
Got a little nervous because the bull started rocking it, and he didn't want to fall in. So it was interesting to be a part of that. Everything got released. They're all happy. Now, not going to lie, folks, all these places are enclosed, but if the animal wants to run through a fence, he's going to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, especially a 2,000-pound bull, right? So, yeah. So we ended up doing that. We got back out. Monkeys were all around. You can see one here. This little guy hanging out. We were back in the blind. Monkeys were around us. We also took naps, not gonna lie, which was kind of nice. And then sun going down.
So she was out there with you on every hunt?
She was. Had an encounter with a golden wildebeest. Beautiful animal. And then we had impala too. So if I ever go back, it might be this guy. When the sun hit that coat, it was just absolutely beautiful. Tom Gensel, yes, I had a black label. I had a few soda pops in your honor, and there's the sun going down. Next morning, these are a little out of order, but in that time of sitting in the blind and talking to Denise, and we talked with Harm, and we said, if you'd like to learn how to shoot a rifle, Harm will teach you, and he'll walk through the steps. I said, you listen to Harm and do what he says, and he did a fantastic, phenomenal job. He got a 223 Swift. This is Saturday morning, and she's shooting 100 yards downrange. He went through the whole how-to with it, how to look through the scope, magnification, getting her comfortable with how to shoot. You can see here, proper height of the bench and everything. And her first shot at 100 yards was right in the orange.
Not bad. He's a good teacher.
She took 5 shots. 3 out of 5 were in the orange. Nice. 2 were just a tick off the edge.
Still a kill shot, though.
Absolutely. And that's, so he equated it to being about a soccer ball.
Okay.
You hit the soccer ball, you're gonna kill it.
Right.
You hit dead center, it's definitely. So he definitely took the time with it. He walked through the magnification, like I said. He took his time, got her comfortable, walked through the steps. This gun, not gonna lie, is a tank, and it was heavy.
So that's good for recoil.
There was going to be hardly any recoil whatsoever. So this is her first shot ever with a rifle.
Has she ever shot any handguns?
Yes.
Okay. So she's familiar with firearms. It's just not with a rifle.
Right. I literally have introduced her to handguns, shotguns, and rifles. So that was her first time shooting a rifle. So as of Saturday morning, he felt comfortable with her shooting the rifle, and so now she was going to take an impala. So with that being said, we went back out. We were still in the blind, and we had some wildebeest come in, a fun animal to watch. They were just everywhere, golds, some blacks, some regulars. Here we're trying to get her set up to shoot one, but they are so jumpy, it's just incredible. But she'll explain what she went through on all that. And but yeah, so now we were both hunting, which was kind of fun.
So you're both in the blind together, and it's the moment of opportunity. Who gets what?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So let's see.
Well, I tell you, you found what you needed here. Let's take another break, and we come back. We'll get through the rest of your hunt.
All right.
All right. We're gonna step outside. And we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show.
We are rolling through my hunt. We've only made it through 2 days of my actual hunting, and
We've only got a half hour left.
I know, right? So let's get into what some people saw the lodge. Here we are looking at our accommodations. They came in every morning. They cleaned up while we went out and hunting. They came in and they cleaned up the room. They did our laundry every day, and we had 3 meals a day.
Okay.
Breakfast, brunch, and dinner. So as you can see here, this was a fantastic room. Thatch roof, very tall. You can see here right in this corner, this is when we have the load shedding and the power goes off.
Okay.
That's the backup.
Okay.
That's the inverter that will let you run the lights and recharge your phones.
Okay.
So and have hot water. There's the bathroom. There's our front door. Here's a view looking out our front door. As you can see, this place is just absolutely beautiful. Dave and Morgan were staying over in this chalet. There was 2 over there. Here's our bathroom and shower, and some more pictures. There's Zazu Bird, as we like to call it, as everybody knows from Lion King, Zazu. The carport, this is where Dave and Morgan were staying. This right here is that main cabin that we talked about, right here. This on the left was, basically he's the manager of the camp.
Okay.
Guion, that's where he was staying. So here's where we sat every night by a fire. That's the barbecue in the back where they barbecued our eland steaks, sable steaks, actually loins. More pictures of the pool. Yeah.
So as you're going out in the morning, you see it in the sunrise, and you're on the vehicle and you're traveling out. Did you start humming "A Weem Away, A Weem Away"?
Literally, you could have. It was actually, I was referring to at one point. I said, "You've ruined my dreams. I thought I was going to show up here and you guys were going to take me out and bring me up to Pride Rock and let me see all the animals and
take your pickup mode."
Right? But it wasn't that way. So that gave you a little bit of insight into what our accommodations were, which were fantastic. This place was cleaner than clean. So that takes us to Sunday. Sunday was zebra hunting day. He set it up where we were going to hunt zebras on Sunday, sable on Monday, kudu on Tuesday. And now we have another hunter. So anytime, like you said, anytime the time arose, if an Impala presented, she was on the gun.
Okay.
And then if it was from one of my animals, it was on my gun.
Okay.
So the next day we went to a total different enclosure. It was huge. This one was big. I forget how big this one. But the smallest one was 1,800 acres, which is 3 square miles. And so this one was bigger than that. But we ended up going out for zebras. They were tough. They literally, we finally found some. We'd stalk them. Impalas would bust us. I was on 3-4 stalks of zebras. Got busted every time by impalas or wildebeest.
So it's just, I kind of equate that to somewhat of like hunting here in Michigan. When you're after a whitetail and you're tree stand hunting, you got to be cognizant of what other animals are around. Are there squirrels, pick you off, chatter, what have you?
Exactly. So we went out. We had a stalk. They took off, but they headed for this field. So we were on the back of the truck, and he saw them out in the field, and we swang the truck in the field. He spots them. He goes, "Okay, there they are." And I put him in I get on the gun in the back of the truck. I'm on a bag, and he goes, "Take the one on the left." I'm like, "Okay." So with that little triangle Dave told about, I squeezed one off, and I ended up being low back. He says, you hit, but hit it again. I said, the one on the right, and I'm looking, and now I got 3 zebras doing this.
Okay.
So I look, and I'm still what I thought was the one that I was thinking that I shot. I shot again, and I shot it right in the butt, but a different one. I'm like, oh.
How far were you shooting?
180 yards.
Okay.
And I was like, oh man. I didn't know this till after, because I'm like, all right. So we went on a crash drive around this area. The zebras took off. We jumped. The driver, which was the tracker, was driving, and he is just giving commands. That's a whole nother story we got to talk about. And we were doing literally 50 miles an hour on this 2-track in a field, just boogieing. And we lost the bag. That went flying off the roof. He goes, keep going, keep going. And then we ended up driving and getting in front of these zebras. And what happened was, once we cut them off to get to the brush, they stopped and turned sideways. He said, Dan, he goes, I don't like to do this, but do you mind if I shoot? I'm like, dude, we got to take care of it. Because I was PO'd.
Right.
I was upset. I said, do it. So he pulled out his 375 with a red dot, and at about 100 yards, takes out one. He goes, shoot the other one. I'm looking, and this thing's looking back at me. I said, okay. So, took that shot, and that dropped. I'm like, whew. They dropped about 10 yards apart from each other.
So you got 2 zebras.
I got 2 zebras. I shot a male and a female. So I now have 2 zebras. And then it went from, we talked about the description of this, the highs and lows. It started out as a low point. Because I shot 2, which I thought I shot the same one, but I didn't.
Gotcha.
But at 180 yards, and zebras are pretty tough to pick out. Not going to lie.
They kind of all look the same.
well, that, and they blended right in with that field. It was, so I got 2. I was not happy of me shooting 2, but we, as hunters, we had this discussion in the back of the truck. But as hunters, we needed to do the things we needed to do to take care of the problem, not have a wounded animal. And I'm like, I get it. I said, let's do what we need to do, right? So we did it. So we took care of it. We dispatched them both, and I got 2 zebras out of the deal. So I'm going to have one mounted, and I'll have a pretty good rug for the other one. So as you can see here, it was picture taking time. The one on the right is the actual one that I shot first.
Okay.
Which was the bigger one, which was the male, and then the female was the second one. So yeah, I wasn't happy about it, but you know what? I did it. I owned up to it. Let's take care of it.
There you go.
All right. So that was Sunday. Again, we had to load them up, get the winch out. Guion was with us. He helped out. Yeah, this is watching us try to get them into the truck. And yeah, so that was my zebras on Sunday. And then Dave talked about shooting a buffalo. While we were out doing this, he ended up getting a buffalo. So he did shoot a really nice buffalo with his 375. He shot it 5 times. First shot was a kill. It just, Hendrick was like, keep shooting.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. Another thing, this was an interesting picture because this is a homemade knife. This is a skinning knife that Jin Song, the tracker for Hendrick, made by himself. The blade is from a lawnmower.
Okay.
The handle is a pipe, and there's like a nut on the end of it. And it's like the best knife ever. And literally, they will walk over to the grinder, sharpen it, and he'll use it. They go through skinning knives like water. And you know how a skinning knife usually has like a 6-inch blade?
Right.
Most of them, they were down to 2 and 3 inches.
They sharpen them so much.
Yep, and just keep going. So that was Sunday. Monday was Sable Day. This hunt was the animal, one of 2 animals that I was really looking forward to hunting. This hunt didn't last long.
Well, let me ask you this. So you're going out, and it's one of the animals you really want. After what happened the previous hunt, what's your mindset going on?
I'm scared shitless. Sorry, I swore, but I'm not going to lie.
Right?
I was like terrified. I can't screw this up again. And we saw this animal out in this field, and we drove around it, all the way around it. Never even knew we were there. We stalked it, we were crouched through the field, and we got to 80 yards.
Okay.
He got the sticks ready. I got up on it. He was just feeding, head down. He goes, it's a shooter, and I found the shoulder, and then I shoot.
And that was it.
And it ran. He goes, rack and put another one in it. And I went to do that, and it already started stumbling and made it about 20 yards and
tipped over.
You want to talk about a shot that made me feel so relieved. I took it out right in the shoulder. The bullet was just inside the skin on the other side, and I was so relieved that not gonna lie, folks, I lost it right there at the sticks. I was bawling my eyes out and that was one thing Denise saw, and she goes, "Well, what happened?" I said, "You have no idea the pressure and just adrenaline dump all at one time."
Yep, hit you.
Oh, it did. And so we got this. This animal is gorgeous. We thought it was broken at one time, the tip, but if you can see it, okay, so this is kind of a good view. They thought that this one tip was broken, but it's not, because they're not parallel. One's off. So
okay.
You think it's a little shorter, but it wasn't. So they said it was a good animal to take. And then again, this animal's gorgeous. I was so elated that it was just, and again, swamp bug came through. I can't wait to have this one on my wall. This one was special. This one was, it was just one of those. So that was over in about 20 minutes. And we left, went back. So then we decided to say, "Hey, Denise, have you ever shot off of a truck?"
Okay. So that explains this picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Saturday morning was learn to shoot a gun off of a bench. Now, Harm says, "Would you try?" So on our way out of shooting the sable, there was 3 Impalas in a lane, and they were all rock solid shooters. Mm-hmm. And you want to take a shot, but she'd never shot off a truck. She's like,
gotcha.
No. And they said, "Nope, good call. You're not comfortable with it." That is one thing. Harm, Hendrick, everybody, they all were, they wanted us to feel comfortable with our shots and everything. So at lunchtime, we got the trucks out, and you can see here Denise is taking her shots off the back of a truck. The dogs were playing in a tree looking for a snake. And then that afternoon, Morgan went out for her sable, and Denise it was a girls' afternoon.
I got you.
Morgan was going for a sable. Denise was going for an Impala. If we got either one, we're going to do some shooting. And this one here, you can see that little dark spot. That's a sable. That sable was not a shooter because it was too big. It was a monster sable. I mean, yeah. And you got to understand how the pricing is. Mm-hmm. There's a price up to and then beyond, and they said that one's way beyond.
That cost you a few extra dollars.
A lot of extra dollars. So me and Dave got to ride on the back of the truck. This is the fields. This scrub brush is nothing but pickers. Everything over there has pickers, like Dave said. So yeah.
Don't go in there.
Right? There's ginseng, and she finally got one. So she got her sable that afternoon, and it was incredible. It was fun. Don't mind the photographic butts, but there we go. A beautiful animal. Like I said, Dave ended up getting a sable earlier, so we actually took 3 sables on this trip.
Yeah, it's a cool looking animal.
It's gorgeous. And we loaded it up, and we headed back. A little moonshot there. But, yeah. So that got us to Monday. Tuesday was going to be Kudu Day. So the weather was changing. It was getting kind of crummy, rainy. But we were going to a new concession. One that hasn't been hunted in 3 years.
And concession is
the property.
Yeah. Another piece of property.
Yep. And we're going to go there, hunt Kudu and Impala, and it hasn't been hunted in 3 years. So they were quite excited to go to a new concession they haven't been to in 3 years. So we headed out and headed that way. Got to start your morning with a little deer camp, right?
Well, we got our deer camp going tonight.
That's right. Oh, and this is the chicory one, right?
Yeah, southern chicory.
Right? So,
what do you think?
It's actually pretty good.
It's got a good flavor to it.
Right? So this was on our way to that concession the next morning, and here we are driving away. Like I said, Harm was holding the Swift because that gun was a tank. And then for lunch, they took us up on the mountain. And what we're looking down on is where we were hunting. Okay. Actually, we were hunting all over. But we could overlook as to where we were hunting. And it was just gorgeous. Off in the distance, we saw lightning, storms, and showers. We got a couple of them. We didn't get a lot of the heavy rain. And you can see here that the view was just spectacular.
Yeah, there's a lot of green. You mentioned it greened up. I was not expecting that.
Right? So here they are serving us lunch.
I think they'd eat there a few times before.
Oh, this spot is gorgeous. So there's Denise. And so we ran into a few other animals. You don't always run into a zebra a giraffe staring at you. And they were all over this property, so it was kind of fun to see them. So now with Denise hunting, and if an impala presented itself, they would go on a stalk. So you see here, they got out of the truck. They were looking. There was impalas in the brush, and he would, if they didn't bolt already, they would try to go after him. And you can see Denise learned stalking. So I won't say much about her hunt because we're going to let her talk about it. And this is one cool piece of video that I did take from her hunting. This is a gun range that they have on there, but the impala were awesome. Here they are fighting, and
on the gun range.
Yep. We literally we predicted this story, and this was going to be awesome if this was going to play out. But they would fight like they are. They would stop, look,
they're still there,
and go back to fighting.
Wait, she's got a gun.
Right? They would. She was on them. She was on them, and they would not sit still. This was to get this video. It was amazing, but she could not get a shot. But this was just incredible. But we're gonna let her tell her side of the story because that's for her to tell.
All right. So I'll tell you. Let's take our last break. Because you still got another animal, right?
Yeah, I got one more animal left.
All right, we're going to step outside, take our last break. When we come back, we will take you on Danny's kudu hunt. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show. We've got you through 6 animals in Africa with Danny. Now, the last of the big animals.
Last of the big animals. It was Kudu Tuesday.
Is that like Taco Tuesday?
It kind of was.
Okay.
It literally started out where we were driving around. I showed you where we had lunch.
Mm-hmm.
We had saw a couple kudu, and this place was so thick. Literally, one jump, they were gone. I mean, it
looked
was
thick.
It was combat, typical hunting. So we were hunting impala. We were hunting kudu. Denise did have a shot at an impala. I'm going to let her talk about that. She can roll through that story, but it was also part of the learning for her. So we jumped 3 kudu, actually 4. Sorry, 4. The 5th one is what happens. But how long do you have until your animals get delivered? Hold on to that thought, and I'll explain it at the end. Literally, we were heading back. It was getting dark. We were heading back to the main exit, and one of them, we jumped one, and it was about a 35-yard shot, and I got my kudu. This was another relief of a shot. I was shooting through thick stuff, and I had a Y that I could shoot through a tree, and literally that was the vitals. I put the scope on it, adjusted. I found his butt real quick, and then
Harm walked it up.
I'm like, go. Harm's like,
keep going.
Right there. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I was looking, and I could see that, and I put it right on the shoulder, and I touched one off. And then it was like, okay, it's going to start to rain here. We got to get on this thing quick. The tracker got out. Harm started looking, and it ran about 20, 25 yards. And then he started screaming, and then I started screaming. And did I get it? He said, "You got it." And literally, this thing was another. I didn't lose it this time, but I was just in awe. It was a beautiful shot. Not gonna lie, I was impressed with myself. Again, put it through the shoulder. The bullet was sitting on the other side of the skin. So this is my kudu that I got, and it was the last animal that I was gonna take in Africa. If I didn't take the eland, I was gonna shoot a female buffalo.
Okay.
But I couldn't pass up the eland. That was just one of those things you just...
Big boy.
Yeah. So I might have to go back. So, all in all, I took 6 animals, and it was an amazing trip.
So looking back, or taking these 6, not counting her hunt.
Right.
Did you eat all of them? Did you eat meat from each animal?
We had each animal. We did not have zebra. We could have, but we didn't have any. We had sable. We had eland. We had impala, which was impala lasagna. We had sable and eland loin. Somebody's going to ask me, well, which one's better? Because that, like Dave said,
yeah,
man, it's a toss up.
Hey, kudu.
Yeah, yep. And it was a toss up. I think sable's better, but they're both equally good. I cut them with a butter knife. So, literally, going through the pictures here real quick, folks. Just give me a minute. Okay, here, that's a good one. So, another thing when you're out hunting and you're driving along, you see the impalas zipping across, and that's how much time you had for her to get a shot off. Here you go. How often do you see ostriches running down a road?
I haven't seen any here.
Right?
Not lately.
Funny little buggers. They ran down the road. They wouldn't go into the bush, right or left, until they came to a fork in the road. Then they went right. We went straight. So, literally, that was awesome. So, but yeah, you can go off that picture now. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Let's see where we're at with questions. How long do you get delivered? Okay. You practiced that shot at TAC. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you're typically a bow hunter. How hard was it to adapt to using a rifle? It was not hard at all. I just needed to shoot that rifle to know what it did, and it was...
So, to me, it looked like there were some decent shots. Obviously not bow shots.
Right.
So, that first day, is that when you kind of changed your whole mindset about, okay, so I want to go over and use my bow, but you didn't use it? So,
yeah.
After that first hunt, had you made that decision at that time, or did you have your bow with you all the time?
I had my bow up until Zebra Day.
Okay.
Because it rained Saturday. It rained pretty good. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about that, and we're like, well, the water hole's going to be out of play. I said, okay. I said, that's fine. And the zebras, to literally get into bow range and to shoot them what we were hunting them in, wasn't going to happen.
Okay.
It was, so I was at that point, I'm like, all right, put the bow away. Let's do this with a gun. So it was not hard at all to make that adjustment to the rifle. Okay, how long did it take? Okay, so what's going to happen now is those animals that you saw me have are now in the drying process. So
in Africa.
Yep. And what will happen now is it will take 6 to 9 months. They will dry them out. The skins are in the skinning shed, and my computer wants to stop working, so we'll have to fire that back up. 6 to 9 months, they will be delivered to customs here in the United States. They were going to go in through, like Dave said, through Chicago. Mm-hmm. And then when I get notification that they have made it through customs and into the United States, I can then go have them delivered to where I want them to have them be taxidermied.
So you don't have to actually go to customs and claim them. You just have them shipped.
There's a company that does all the shipping for you.
Okay. So you don't have to worry about any of that.
Right.
So
give me 1 second while you talk to the folks out there.
Well, beginning of the show, we had talked about, the anticipation, getting there. getting onto the property the first morning, your expectations, even before you took off from Michigan, were your expectation? What was your expectation, or what did you think? And then when you got there, how did that change?
So I really didn't have. I had an idea. Hunt over water holes. What was amazing about it was, even though it was an enclosure, how big they were. It wasn't going to be a slam dunk. Mm-hmm. It showed in the zebras. It showed in the kudu. It showed in the impala. But what was really nice to know was, okay, in here somewhere, we've got kudu, sable, impala, zebras. We got all these animals. Mm-hmm. They're in here somewhere.
Let's go get them.
All right. So there was wildebeest to the right. There was leesbucks to the left. There was giraffes. The amount of game you saw was incredible. Like you saw that one picture, there was a whole bunch of impala in, or a blessed buck was come in. And it was the amount of animals you saw. You know, here we see a couple does and a buck. Or, whoo, hey, we're golden.
Good morning.
Yeah, well, over there, like he goes, he made a bet with me. He goes, I promise you we're going to see 100 animals today. And that zebra hunt was easily 100 animals. That fight on the gun range was easily 100 impala all over the place. But as you see here, this picture here, I talked about, this is where they have the heads drying out. Literally, they're just letting them dry out. The skinners have skinned all the skulls and taken care of that. There is my set of animals that we took. Got it. And this right here is the salt shed. On the floor is skins. They are covered in salt totally. And when they get to a point, then they get hung up. The ones that were hung up were from the last hunters, and then mine were all on the floor.
Gotcha.
Denise's. So
now, while you were there, you and Denise and Dave and Morgan were the only hunters on the property.
Absolutely, that was the best thing for anybody that wants to look into going on a safari. This is something that I would ask about, because I didn't think of it at now, but now that I know there was only 4 of us in camp and we all knew each other, we didn't have to worry about other hunters that maybe weren't our style, whether it be whatever they might do. We couldn't blend in together or whatever. So we all knew each other. We all had fun. We've known Hendrik for years, but it was so much. And Denise she'll talk about this, but the aspect of sitting down at lunch with everybody, coming to dinner, sitting down with everyone, having say a prayer. Hendrik would lead us in prayer, but we're sitting with Hendrik, his wife Annalie, Harm, and Gian, and just became that being family, and it was awesome. It was a totally awesome experience to have that. And
couple questions coming in here that I'm going to throw them together because I think they kind of go hand in hand. Predators, any predatory animals, and at night, did you hear any of them calling?
Okay, so where were the elephants? We were not in. I'll answer that question. We were not in the area where the elephants were. We could have. Actually, they're having a problem with elephants, and they kind of need somebody to take them out. But I wasn't going to pay that money. They're actually got some problem elephants destroying the landscape. Okay, so calls on predators. Okay, so 3 weeks ago, they got a photo of a leopard. Matter of fact, we were hunting the same water hole with Denise that this leopard was at. But I'm like, Harm, are we going to see this? He's like, nah. Well, while we were hunting, our tracker was with the truck a ways away. He actually saw it.
Okay. So it was in the area.
It was in the area. So that was kind of cool. Scary, but cool. So at night, we heard the jackals.
Okay.
And he goes, you hear that? I'm like, what? And we could hear them plain as day. And they sounded like they were right there. He goes, don't worry, those are far away. I said, are you sure? He goes, yeah, they're probably in the back of the property. Okay. But yes, we heard the jackals. We heard... so impala, when in rut, will like grunt. Only the mature ones will grunt. And we literally, there's a picture, I'll have to bring it up when Denise is talking, we ended up calling it Impala Lane because literally we stopped there, we shut off the truck, and 360 degrees around us there was Impalas grunting. It was insane, and you could hear them grunting, and they were chasing the other bucks, and it would like you'd be listening, and all of a sudden you'd be like, oh, there's one coming up behind us, and we'd look and we'd wait, and it might pop out or else it would turn. That was one of the coolest things hunting wise that. We hear a buck grunt. We hear this was
nonstop,
15 to 20 of them all around us, and probably more.
Yeah. And
one time we figured there was probably 35 females crossing, and there was one buck, and that was his harem, and that was kind of funny. But we didn't see, but we heard some predators. Taxidermy there here. I'm having it done here. I would not. Oh wow, that's like forever. Yeah, it is, but it would be the same process here. They got to dry out.
You take something in, a whitetail buck, you're not going to get it back till next year.
Right. So, yeah, the sights and the sounds in the morning, listening to the birds, whether they've got several different types of doves, the monkeys and everything, but overall, it smashed expectations. It really did. I was thoroughly impressed. We'll talk about it in another show about the management, but my expectations, like you said, going in, I was kind of like, okay, but yeah, after that first morning of seeing all those animals, and even on a slow morning, just the different amount of animals, and knowing you have the possibility of an animal you might be trying to take coming in, that's if we saw one, don't worry, we hopefully saw another one. So
the one that you didn't feel the need to rush and take one. You knew you'd have opportunity,
right? And literally that kudu took all day. We got lucky at the end, but it would have been like, okay, that would have been the next day. Would have been after a kudu. That was down to my last on my menu to get. So it was just an amazing trip. It was highs and lows. It was awesome. Denise will have her story on. And then we'll talk more about the conservation/management, because they also transplanted some springbucks. 30 springbucks got transplanted into the area. We'll go through how they did that, which I thought was absolutely amazing. So I tell you what, it was a trip of a lifetime, but I think I'm going to have to do it again.
Well, that to me says everything about it. The fact that the highs and lows, and the highs obviously outweigh the lows, and the expectations were over the top. So another trip is in the future.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to go after a wildebeest, the black, the common, the black is where I would like to go. Denise really would like to shoot one of these. Let me bring it up here real quick. One of those.
Which is?
That is a black impala.
Very cool.
That is a gorgeous animal. She wanted to shoot at that, and I'm like, no, you got to work up to that. There's a different price for that one.
Yeah.
So she said, yep, you're right. But we literally had so this was like one of the first mornings. It was her morning, because I was done. This was Wednesday morning, so she was on the gun. And literally, we had 3 black impala walk in.
Yeah, what are the odds?
Right? And then we had one regular color come in, and like I said, they ran that one off, and yeah, it was cool. So, yep, that's my trip in a nutshell, folks. Going to need a bigger game room. Let me fill up my wall first. You need a giraffe. Okay, so funny you mentioned that. I asked how tall a giraffe was. We were talking out in the blind. 16 feet, I think, is where we kind of said, okay, I got 24. I can fit one.
Talk to Denny Steiner. He can help you
right?
with that.
Is that the size of our deer? The impalas probably, and blessed bucks probably were more so the size of our deer.
Okay. Michigan deer, whitetail.
Yeah. Yeah, everything seems to be bigger over there. I mean, like, it was just amazing. It was so cool. I can't believe I'm back already. It
went by quick.
It just kept rolling, and they made it so much fun and personal, and anything they could do for us. And about the Black Label. We ran out, and they made sure we had more. But it was just so fun. And like I said, they keep it so personal. Only so many hunters in at a time. And making sure, if it was just Denise and I, it would have been just Denise and I. But Dave and Morgan were there. So, yeah. So, hopefully, a couple years, I'll probably go back. I'm going to try to talk the owner of Swamp Buck maybe to go. He commented, and he said that would be fun. I said, you got to do it. I'm glad I waited till I was ready.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, I get it.
Now you got the itch.
Oh, yeah. And hopefully, somebody else has got the itch, so it'll be even just as good, right? So, talking with them, anything like 308, 30-06 is a good. I'll probably take a gun next time. Okay, real quick, we got time?
We're getting close to the end.
Okay, so as we showed in the beginning of the show, my bow case looked like a gun case.
Right.
Sure enough, it was like, oh boy. So when I got to Johannesburg, I couldn't find my bow case.
They confiscated it.
So we to Dave's gun was every airport's got a special area. So we had to go around into the special area. There was hunters everywhere. There was they were bringing the guns in. This gentleman was actually sitting there. He says he was there for 24 hours waiting for his gun. It finally showed up. They open up the case, make sure you do your paperwork, match serial numbers, and move on. And so Guian, and they were like, hey, there's a bow, not a gun, out here somewhere. And literally half hour later, 45 minutes, one of the workers came from a different area bringing it. I said, that's it. It's like, so.
They're going to take you to the pokey.
Right?
You have papers?
Is there a lot of pressure in the habitat, or is it a comfortable quantity? They manage their herds, so like I said, about keep the soil good. They manage their herds. They won't let things get overabundance. During COVID, he said they had to physically go in and call animals because they couldn't have hunters.
Because there's nobody coming to hunt, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So if they have, and we'll talk more about this.
That's part of the management.
Yep.
Part of
and so,
making sure the carrying capacity stays within where it's supposed to be.
Great hunting stories. Neck roast from a giraffe. I can imagine what size those are. So those are very big enclosures, like I said. So as long as they manage the soil, everything else is good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I've already had a gentleman hit me up as I was flying back. He's got a hunt with Metwetwe later this year. He's in the area.
Okay.
So he wants to get with me and pick my brain.
Gotcha.
I said, I'm okay. I talked to Harm about it. He goes, that's the best way. He goes, word of mouth is number one.
There you go.
So,
for people who check it out with Dave's outfit.
Yep. Go to Drop Time Outdoors.
You got.
Give me a second.
He's going to call it up here and get you all the information.
Right.
So it sounds like everybody had a good time. All went well, and it's time to start looking ahead to the next one.
Oh, I tell you what, it was incredible. I'm not gonna lie. There you go. Get with Dave over there, or contact me. We'll get you in touch with Dave. Next February, March, they will be here. They're gonna come back. So we'll try to visit them wherever we try to catch them, because we either try to catch them on the west side or we catch them here at the SCI show at Flint.
There you go.
So,
all right, folks. Well, we're going to get Denise on. We don't know exactly timing-wise. Next week, we're going back up to the UP. Is that right?
Yes. Mike Wellman. My family is going in August. Can't wait. That's another thing we'll have Denise talk about. That was one of the things I was worried about, but we'll let her explain what her feelings were about. She was going with me, not expecting to hunt, but turned into a hunter. Yep.
Gotcha. So next week, who's going to be our guest?
So next week they're going to be from the UP. I don't know which ones yet. I have an idea. I just got to make contact with them.
Okay. So that's what we're looking forward to next week, and then the next couple of weeks we're going to get Denise on, and we'll talk again.
I think we're going to have Denise on in 2 weeks, which that will be just a few days before a very special day. Yeah. So I did introduce the Tway Safaris to leprechaun buckbaits.
The leprechaun lure.
Yeah.
That's for another show.
That.
All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. Make sure you go over to Dave Wilkins' page, Drive Time Outdoor Adventures. Does Matway have
Yes.
a Facebook page? Go over there. Give them a like, follow, share as well. Share the show for us. Give us a like, follow, share. If you haven't done that already, smash that like button for us. We'll also be over on YouTube. And for those of you who are listening to the podcast version over off of iTunes, make sure you stop in, give us a review. That helps people who support us in return as well. So we'll be back again next week, 7:30, next Wednesday night. Y'all take care.
This episode was brought to you by PSE Archery,
Deer Camp Coffee,
Buck Baits,
JPO Game Calls,
The Island Armory,
Hacker Max,
Sunrise Archery,
and C3 Better the Hunt Technology.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.